Hello, my name is Tracy Allen and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello everyone and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I hope you're having a great day. I am going to show you a recipe that I came across quite a while back for Marry Me cookies, and they have some of my favorite things in them. Chocolate, of course, brown sugar and oatmeal, that combination with a little bit of cinnamon. And it also has white chocolate chips, which I have trouble keeping around if one of my grandsons is here. And of course some butter, and then some pecans. And the pecans are optional. So I'm going to put this together. So I have a cup of butter on my stove that I'm melting, and I want that to become foamy and then get a little bit of a brown color to it, so we have some brown butter. And that'll take 5 to 7 minutes for that to do that. Then once that comes to that brown color, I'm going to remove this from the heat and let it cool for a couple of minutes before I go on. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's browned. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but my butter, the foaminess is there, and you can see on some of it, it has kind of a brownish color to it. So you can even see it in the foam. So we're ready to let this cool. You don't want to go too long with it when you're cooking it because you don't want it to burn, but you want this to cool just a couple of minutes. Okay, we're going to take that brown butter that we have and mix it with a whisk with 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. And then once we're done with this, we need to, whisking it together, we need to put this in the refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes to let that butter cool down. You can see the color to it as it pours. It has such a good smell to it. Okay, so we're gonna put this in the refrigerator and let it cool down. So our butter and sugars have cooled enough that they won't cook the eggs when you add them. So to this, I'm going to put 1 whole egg and an egg yolk, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that together, and then I'm going to set that aside while I mix my dry ingredients that I'll be adding to this. Yesterday, it was yesterday or the day before, one of my granddaughters and I went to town and we did some things, and I got to run into another one of my former students. I always love it when I run into them. But they always ask me about what I'm doing, and I say, I'm doing what I enjoy. I'm cooking, so I hope they join me and see if I taught them anything. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside. And then in another bowl, I'm going to mix my flour, which for this recipe, I have 2 cups of flour, and that's just all-purpose flour. And I have old-fashioned oats. I have 1 cup of those. And baking soda, I have 1/2 teaspoon. And then I have 3/4 teaspoon of salt, something in my bowl, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. You don't want to overdo the cinnamon. So I'll mix those together. Now I'm going to add 1/2 of this to that butter mixture and stir that in. And then I will add 1/2 of my white chocolate chips, and pecans, which I have 1 cup of each one of those. And I'll add 1/2 of those, and then I'll repeat that. You don't need a mixer for this. Just do it all by hand. Chocolate mixture. And you do this partially if you don't have all your flour mixed in already, the dry flour, as you mix it with the chocolate chips, will help coat those so they don't all settle out. Rest of my flour mixture. Now I'm going to form this into about 2 tablespoon sized cookies, and then put them on a parchment sheet and cover those and let those cool for about 30 minutes before I bake them. Then when I'm ready to bake, after that 30 minutes of cooling, I'm going to put up these in a 325 oven and bake for 10 to 12 minutes. And if you let them cool on the cookie sheet for about 2 minutes before you remove them, they'll continue to cook just a little bit. Stir those in just so we have no more dry flour. The brown butter in this just really does help with that flavor enrichment. Okay, so I have my scoop. I'm going to get a heaping scoop so it's about 2 tablespoons. Form these into balls and put them on my sheet, and then I'll put these in the refrigerator to cool for that 30 minutes. And when you see the texture of them or feel the texture of them, you'll see why they need to cool. That butter still isn't completely cooled, and this would make a runny cookie if you don't let it cool all the way. So I'm just going to continue that process, and then I'll bake them and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.